So we are on our way into Philly because it's time for my monthly bronch. Yay! We are actually about to go across the bridge. If you would like to get a view, say hi to Catherine on the way. Catherine! This is the Ben Franklin Bridge into Philadelphia. It's pretty annoying that we have to schlep into Philly every time I need to go to a procedure or a doctor's appointment, but at least we get like a nice view of the city and the bridge, so that's, I guess, a fringe benefit. I'm also, as much as it's annoying to go into Philly, I'm also super duper lucky because a lot of people, when they're getting transplants, you know, obviously if you're getting a transplant you have to go to the nearest transplant center, and those aren't exactly a dime a dozen. So a lot of people have to drive hours and hours and hours to get to their transplant center, and a lot of people have to, you know, either for every appointment or definitely for the transplant itself, have to like move and stay near a transplant center until the whole thing is done. So I'm really lucky that I live, you know, like 20-30 minutes away from a really good transplant center. So I will take it, even though it means that we spend a lot of time going over the bridge and driving into Philly and dealing with lots of traffic. So thankfully the traffic is not too bad right now. So it's time for my monthly bronch. We are still doing that even though I'm coming up on 9 months post-transplant. My doctor expected that my lungs would have settled down by now and that we would not be doing this, but unfortunately that is not the case. So yeah, hopefully it'll go well today. And on the plus side, I just dyed my hair, so I'm sporting super fabulous freshly blue hair to show off during my bronch, because that's clearly a critical component of the whole bronch process. I'm actually excited because one of my favorite nurse's aides from when I used to be in the hospital all the time moved over to work on the pre-op unit. So it's always fun to get to see her and say hi, and she was super excited about my purple hair, so I'm excited to show off my even brighter blue hair and see what she thinks. So here's hoping that she's working today, because it's always fun to see Karen. So I spent over an hour in the waiting room, and now I've been back in pre-op for I think also about an hour. I've got my IV. It only took 2 tries. And now I'm just waiting to go back into my bronch. So this is all taking a little longer than I hoped. But that's what happens when your appointment is a little bit later in the day. The later it is, the more backed up they get and the longer you take. I also usually would take my mask off when I'm back here, but it is cold and flu season and everybody is sick all over the place and I don't want their germs. So the mask is staying on, and that is the current story. Hello, it's now the day after my bronchoscopy. I was not up for recording anything immediately after. For some reason, I had a rough recovery this time. Usually after a bronchoscopy, my throat will be sore and I'll be, very worn out and groggy. But for some reason, I had a very hard time waking up. I was nauseous. My throat was killing me. Yeah, it was just rough. I just felt really, really awful when I woke up and in recovery, and then the rest of yesterday. Not feeling so stellar today either, but at least it is getting better. I'm a little bit more functional. They said that, once again, there was narrowing in the airways on both sides of the lungs. So they had to go in with a balloon and dilate them, which is pretty much what I expected. That's been happening regularly since I had my transplant. Apparently that happens in I think they said 10% of cases. That'll happen. The part that's not common is that my doctor thought that it would have stopped by now. So that's not so exciting, but he does assure me that it will stop eventually. It's just unclear how long it's going to take for the airways to settle down and stop getting closed up with scar tissue type material. So that's the story around here. I'm pretty much living in my comfy chair these days. Oh, but the one exciting thing to come out of the bronchoscopy is that I have a new addition for the bronchoscopy collection. He's super cute, and I'm very excited about him. And I'm sure he'll get along very well with everybody else, and they'll all play nicely together, and the bronchoscopy collection continues to grow. So that's it. I'm going to go back to sleep probably, because that's pretty much what I do the day after a bronch. And I might do it for a couple days this time, because this was a rough one. But hopefully the next one will be better. Maybe I'll even make it longer than a month or 6 weeks before needing one, but I am not hopeful on that score. All right, that's the story around here. Mwah. Breathe well.